Welcome to Reddit After Hours. This is r/Trueoffmychest, where OP confesses that her family forced her to marry her cousin. Our first Reddit post comes from Lawfulness 101, titled, I snitched on my mom for cheating and I have no regrets. Basically, as the title says, I told my dad that my mom was cheating. Let's start from the beginning. I'm in 8th grade and my dad just had 2 surgeries. We all had family locations on, and out of nowhere, my mom turns hers off. She leaves the house and barely talks to us on a completely random day. That left me taking care of my dad until he healed. Once he was better, my mom suddenly came back around and asked if I wanted to move to Jersey with her. I said, screw that. During the time that my dad was immobile, we became besties. I was homeschooled, he was out of work, and we just sat there and talked all day, every day. To this day, we still tell each other everything. Fast forward to my senior year of high school, which is now, and my parents are still going back and forth about a divorce. A lot of crazy things have happened in between now and then, but I won't make this story too long. Just know that my mom is a certified sociopath and kinda bipolar. A few weeks ago, I decided to call my mom for some advice. She started sending me screenshots of messages, and in the middle of them, she accidentally sent one of her texting another man, who she had saved in her phone as spam. This was an immediate red flag. I hung up and I called my dad right away, then sent him the screenshot. The messages, absolutely disgusting. Dude texting her, good morning, ma, which is wild because my 17-year-old boyfriend says the same thing to me. She replies, good morning, I couldn't sleep last night. He asks why, and she says, I need you next to me. I about lost my mind reading this. My dad completely crashed out, and honestly, I was fine until my mom started blaming me for ruining the family, saying that it wasn't my business to tell and all this other BS. She's been really passive aggressive towards me ever since, but honestly, I don't care. These are the consequences of her own actions. OP, what did your mom expect you to do? You tell your dad literally everything, and from what it sounds like from this post, you're a lot closer to him than you are your mom. And just like as a fundamental like core value, right? People have a right to know if they're being cheated on. Even if, you're not involved, I still think if you know that someone's being cheated on, there's nothing wrong with making that person aware of it because I'm sure they would want to know. And if some random stranger on the street knew that I was being cheated on, whether or not he had anything to do with it or it was his business or not, I'd want him to tell me because I would want to know. I don't think you did anything wrong here, OP. Good for you for having your dad's back. Our next Reddit post comes from No Swimming 6664, titled, My husband's been a completely different person lately, and not for the reasons you think. My husband has CPTSD and a cocktail of other disorders. For most of our marriage, he's been quiet and reserved and has frequent episodes. He's been on so many pills and medications for so long that he had forgotten who he is without them. But recently, his doctor floated the idea of trying medical marijuana, and my husband agreed. A month ago, he tried it for the first time, and as it started to kick in, he looked at me and broke into this big, goofy, enamored smile that I had never seen before. I fell in love with him a million times over in that moment, and I swear, he was so relaxed, so carefree. He didn't even flinch when I closed the cabinet a bit too loudly. We cuddled on the couch all night, and he could barely keep his hands off of me, and he slept through the entire night in my arms like a baby. No more nightmares, no paranoia. He woke up groggy and a little hungover, but happy. One of his triggers is the smell of black coffee, and I have to make it outside on the back porch. Don't worry, it's safe from the rain, and have my morning coffee outside. But that morning, he came outside while I was sipping it and talked to me before he left for work. He uses it a couple of times a week now, and that, combined with less medication for anxiety and whatnot, and he's a completely new man. Our friends keep asking what the night and day difference is about, but he doesn't want to tell them for fear of judgment. So I'm telling the internet, he's my husband, he's amazing, and I love him more than life. That's all, folks. OP, that's actually really sweet. I'm really happy for your husband. I'm glad that that's actually working out really well for him. You don't often get a really positive story on r/Trueoffmychest, but This is good. I love it. Our next Reddit post is from One Interview 4684, titled, I was forced to marry my cousin, trapped in a loveless marriage, and I have lost all hope. At this point, I have lost all hope. I was a romantic person who dreamed of marrying a man that I could truly love, but all my dreams ended when my mother and aunt pressured me into marrying my cousin. At the age of 16, I was told that I would be marrying him, and by 17, the marriage took place. He was 27 at the time. I never liked him at all, but after getting married, I had no choice but to try and develop feelings for him, though it never happened. He was simply just not the type of man that I could love. To make matters worse, he is my first cousin, someone who used to call me a child and a sister. Then, out of nowhere, I was informed that the two of us would be getting married. When my aunt asked for my consent, I replied that I was a child and that he was like a brother to me. However, she didn't take my response seriously because she assumed that I wouldn't say no. I felt completely powerless, and now, at the age of 20, I find myself trapped in a loveless marriage. What makes this situation even worse are the comments that I've heard from others. Some men have told me that no one would marry a divorcee, so it's better to stay in the marriage than to divorce. These remarks have deeply affected me. My aunt has also repeatedly told me that if I divorce her son, I'll suffer and regret it for the rest of my life. All of these factors had made me completely lose hope. I can't even bring myself to divorce him because my aunt tells me that I'll suffer. I also fear that it'll make it difficult for me to marry again. At the same time, I can't stay with my husband because I have absolutely no attraction or no love for him. I feel stuck, and this pain is completely overwhelming. Just for context, looking down in the comments, OP is from Pakistan, not in the US or anything like that. So it kind of makes a little more sense why this was allowed to happen, because if this was America, there is no way that a pedophile would be able to marry a freaking 17-year-old. 27 marrying a 17-year-old, that is absolutely absurd. And the fact that you were forced to marry your first cousin, oh my God, that just blows my mind. OP also clarifies down in the comments that she used to live in Pakistan, but 2 months ago she moved to Canada. OP, I really hope now that you're somewhere other than Pakistan and you're in Canada where things hopefully make a lot more sense, hopefully you can get away from this guy. That's horrible, OP. And the whole you'll suffer and no one wants to marry a divorcee. So many people are divorced nowadays. No one cares. It's just a scare tactic. Don't let them scare you into staying with someone who you should have never been with to begin with. Our next Reddit post comes from Java Jolt Mama, titled, Pretty sure that my 37-year-old husband hates me and it's affecting our toddler. For context, I'm 36 and my husband is 37. We've been together for 4 years and I have 2 kids under 2 years old, with the second being only 2 months old. I'm convinced that he hates me. He goes from hot to cold very frequently and usually does this as soon as I point out something that I really don't appreciate, like him criticizing me or mocking me in front of our kids. One day, he'll send me flowers and tells me that I deserve flowers every day because I'm a great mom and wife. The next one, he tells me that I don't have a right to express my emotions because I'm not his family by blood like his daughters, that I could easily be replaced by a nanny, and that he's much more valuable than me and I can't make it out there on my own. He frequently stonewalls me. It's been a week since he last acknowledged my existence despite being in the same room. He looks at me like I'm an inconvenience. I've learned to cope by trying not to give this any importance, but he does this in front of my 2-year-old daughter and she's starting to notice. She has these Bluey minifigures with mom and dad, and she's starting to put herself with mom and putting dad on the other side away from them. And when I put them together, she yells no and throws the figurines away. I've tried to talk to him about this and said that I respect the need for distance, but if we could at least greet each other in her presence, because I'm worried that she might be normalizing this. He said no thanks, and that's all he said. He stated before that he's protecting himself by not talking to me, but right before he started acting this way, he sent me a 5-minute scroll manifesto via text. It honestly just seems manipulative and immature. I can't leave at the moment. Believe me, I'm working on it. No family and no financial independence on my end. Our 2-month-old baby has health issues and I'm caring for her 24/7. For now, the plan is to overcome the situation and become independent. I feel like a terrible mom, like I'm messing her up with this situation and my drama. I'm trying so hard to look happy and healthy in front of her while postpartum and low sleep is killing me, and I'm so scared of how this is going to affect my daughter's lives. And then we got a quick update from OP. As I said before he started stonewalling me, he sent me an apology for something that he had done to me, followed by a bunch of long texts telling me how it's really my fault and why I need to be better to him. I told him the conversation wasn't productive, and then he iced me out. He just sent me this message. Please take some time to engage with the messages that I sent a few days ago. Until then, I will not be engaging with any new topics regarding our relationship. I recommend you begin summarizing your understanding of what you feel I was trying to communicate, and then meaningfully engage with specific points that feel to resonate or could open up doors to better communication. Until then, do not derail the unfinished conversation with other topics or requests. If you do, I will not answer and I will not engage. OP, I think your plan to become stable and get out of this marriage as fast as possible is spot on. This is not the type of person that I would want to be a role model to my daughters. He sounds like a very controlling person, and I'm glad you're realizing it and trying to take steps to get yourself out of this situation. I hope that goes well for you, OP. I wish you the best. Our next Reddit post is from Quality Sure 2, titled, My Husband Likes the Fact That I'm Disabled. I've been married to my husband since 2017, about 8 years ago. I was actually already disabled when we met. Our relationship is perfect. He takes care of me, he pays the bills, and does all the home tasks. I feel really blessed to be with such a great guy, and despite the struggle of my paraplegia on our relationship, we've never lost our mutual love and attraction for each other. Yesterday, when we were in bed, he admitted that although he wished I wasn't in a wheelchair because I would be more happy and free, there is also a good side of it. I won't leave him. This is true, though. My parents are poor, and we live in an underdeveloped Muslim country. If he divorced me, I would be in a devastating situation. I am very dependent on him. I think he said this because many couples that we know, from work, family, friends, neighbors, have ended in divorce. And all of those divorces were initiated by the women. He never said it directly, but I know him very well. We've discussed these past weeks a lot of the issues of the divorcees' trends here, like modern women and men relationships and all that stuff. For context, we don't live in Afghanistan. We live in a more westernized part of the country. I don't know how to feel about what he said yesterday, though, and I still don't know how to feel. I'm not angry, nor am I happy. I'm just kind of shocked. What would you do in my place? OP, I'm actually a little stumped here. That is a really kind of off the wall thing to say to somebody that, like, hey, I'm glad you're disabled because I know you won't leave me. Like, that's not a good thing to say to anybody, but it doesn't sound like from this post that, I mean, he treats you badly or anything. It sounds like he's actually like, the picture perfect guy to you. And I hope that's actually true. I hope he hasn't tricked you into thinking that he's like this perfect guy and that he actually does treat you well. And if he does, I don't know, maybe it came out wrong. Maybe he didn't mean to say it like how he said it, but I don't know, OP. I would feel some type of way about that comment, and I would, at very least, I would try to talk to him further on it and at least discuss how the comment made you feel. That was Reddit After Hours, bringing you r/Trueoffmychest. Thank you all so much for listening, and if you like these videos, like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below for any future Reddit subs that you'd like us to cover, as we post new Reddit videos almost every single day.